Get those needles ready because the summer 2013 issue of Creative Knitting is a celebration of skill-building opportunities that you can apply to small-scale projects such as slippers, socks, and other compact projects which you can easily tote along on your busy on-the-go summer activities. Now let's work the fractured lattice pattern, which is one of 3 stitch patterns you can choose from to create these stitch sampler slippers designed by Lori Gagne. This pattern is available as a free download on creativeknittingmagazine.com. These slippers were created using the quilted cross-stitch pattern, but in this video I'll demonstrate the fractured lattice pattern because it involves just a few specialized techniques. But before we get started, let's take a quick look at the anatomy of a chart. This pattern is a multiple of 8 stitches plus 6. What this means is that the pattern repeat consists of 8 stitches, which are those that fall between the red bracket. In the fractured lattice pattern, the repeat is 16 stitches, which is the multiple repeated twice. Then 6 stitches are used to balance out the repeat. In the stitch sampler slippers, the pattern instructs you to cast on 62 stitches, which means the multiple is repeated 7 times. Let's figure this out together using some simple math. Start by subtracting 6 stitches. Now you have a total of 56 stitches. Divide 56 by 8, which equals 7. Then work the repeat 7 times plus 6 stitches equals your 62 cast-on stitches. Now hit pause and go download your free pattern for these slippers on creativeknittingmagazine.com and then join me back here for my quick tutorial. An easy way to learn a new stitch pattern is to cast on enough stitches to make a nice size practice square. Try working with a sturdy cotton yarn such as Clio, a DK weight 100% mercerized Pima cotton from Plymouth Yarn and available on anniescatalog.com. If you like the outcome, it can easily become a useful washcloth. For my square, I'm using a size 7 needles and I've casted on 38 stitches. The pattern multiple of 8 is repeated 4 times, which equals 32 stitches plus an additional 6 balance stitches, totaling my 38 cast-on stitches. Starting on row 1 of the fractured lattice chart, which starts on a wrong side row, begin by knitting the first 3 stitches, because if you refer to the key, you can see that a box with a dash represents a knit stitch on the wrong side. Then, place a marker, purl across to the last 3 stitches. If you refer to the stitch key, you can see that an empty box represents a purl stitch on the wrong side. Place another marker, slip 3 stitches purlwise with yarn in front. Just a little note here about stitch markers and why they're useful in this pattern. Number 1, they help you keep track of where the repeat section is. Number 2, they allow you to focus on your knitting so you don't have to count your stitches. Now let's work the repeat on row 2 so you can get familiar with some of the special stitches which are repeated throughout this pattern. Okay, now we're going to work row 2, which is the right side of the fractured lattice pattern. The first 3 stitches, we'll knit those. So I'm just going to go nice and slow, and then we're going to slip that marker. So when you see the markers, just slip them to the right hand needle. Now we're going to work the first part of the repeat. We're going to work a left twist. Go through the back loops, skip the first stitch on the left hand needle, knit that stitch, bring the yarn through. Now knit the first stitch on the left hand needle and then slip those stitches right off. Now we're going to do something a little bit different called a right twist. So with the right twist, we work as if we're going to knit 2 together. So let's do that, but here's where it's a little bit different. So put the right hand needle through those first 2 stitches on the left hand needle, bring that yarn through, then just knit again into the first stitch on the left hand needle, bring the yarn through, and then slip both of those stitches right off the needle. So then work that repeat again. And that's pretty much it across the row until we get to the end. So now we're at the end of the row. So we have that marker at the end. We're going to slip that marker. And then with the yarn in front, we're going to slip those last 3 stitches purlwise to the right hand needle. And that's it. So this should give you a really good grounding for working the remaining rows, which you can now practice on your own. Now go on and hop on over to Ravelry.com and join the Creative Knitting Fans group page. You can interact with others and ask questions that you may have along the way while you're making your slippers. The knit along is underway now, so don't miss out on the fun. See you there! To see more highlights, visit CreativeKnittingMagazine.com and click on the Current Issue tab. For more skill building tips, click on the Editor's Blog tab to discover ways to continually expand your knitting know-how with my new lunchtime quick knit tip videos. If you'd like to see something special in a future video, please contact me at editor@CreativeKnittingMagazine.com. Stay cool this summer and keep on knitting.